Hey guys, welcome to Remarried Love. I'm D.
And Aki.
And we are your guide to a new life and healthy relationships after divorce.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how you know you're ready for remarriage.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah, how do you know? So the first thing we want to talk about is healing, because you want to be healed before you try and get into another relationship.
Definitely. And I think you'll know that you're moving in the direction of being able to be married again is when you're not trying to fill a void anymore with other things, but you're healing that space where your marriage used to be.
So you're just basically taking time for yourself to understand who you are in your new life, because your life has changed.
Yeah, you can tell when you've healed, when you can do things like pray for your ex.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So you're saying you want people to pray for their ex.
If you're a Christian, praying for your ex is something that was like a challenge for me when I was going through my divorce. Mm-hmm. A friend that was helping me through it while I was still married, going through the divorce, she said, well, you are still a wife and it's time, we want to pray for him and make sure that his heart is turned towards God. And it was really hard for me. Like I couldn't.
But, I know I'm thinking about other people and they're probably saying, why would I even want to do that? You don't know what this person has done to me. They've hurt me to the core.
Right. So that's how I felt.
Yeah. So why would I pray for somebody who's hurt me to the core?
Because she was letting me know that's good. She said, you're still a wife. And she asked me, did I want to be a wife again? Even, did I want to be a wife? And I did. And this is what wives do. This is what brothers and sisters in Christ do for each other. We pray for each other.
So let me ask you, do you feel that praying for your ex healed you or helped you to heal?
No, it just helped me. No, I don't know.
Or is it for them or is it for you?
I think it's for all. But one thing that it did do is it gave me an indication of where I was emotionally. You know what I mean? Like when she first asked me to do it, I said, no, I can't. I want to, but I can't. And she said, okay, what I'll do is I'll pray and then you just come into agreement with me. And I said, okay, I'll try that. Yeah. So she prayed and she waited, or whatever, however she ended it. And I was just like, amen.
Yeah.
Or yes.
No, I understand. When you've been married and you go through a divorce, there's a lot of things that have happened and you have dealt with so many things and you feel like, I don't know if I can get over those things,
Yeah.
And you don't realize now you have some deep rooted issues that have occurred because of that divorce. So now it's time to heal from those issues.
Right. So when, let's say, fast forward a year later.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh yeah, I can pray for him. It still was a little reluctant, but at least I could use my own words at that point, right? Mm-hmm. I could say, God, please help him. Yeah. But then even now, you keep fast forwarding. I almost felt bad that I felt so emotionally attached or trauma. I don't know how to explain it, but I couldn't pray for that person. And when I got to the point that I could, and I really sincerely felt that, I knew that I could probably be married again.
So you said two things. You were really close to the situation, so you felt the hurt and the pain still, so it was hard for you to pray for someone. And then you said something, and I'm not sure if people heard it, was over time, that pain does go away and diminish. So then you're no longer presently in the situation, and now you can actually pray for that person because time has gone by. And that's if you choose to do that.
Yeah, you asked me earlier, you said, did it help? Was it for you or them? And what was interesting is at the beginning of it, I didn't know that it would help me in the end. Like I said, like it gave me an indicator of where I'm at.
And that's the reason why I asked that question, because we both have been through divorces. And I do understand and know that prayer is not only for the other person, but it also helps you as well.
Yeah.
You know?
So if we said one of the ways you know if you're ready for remarriage is if you can pray for your ex.
Yeah. And
And mean it.
If you can't do that, then
You might not be ready. It's okay.
yeah, you might not be ready, but it doesn't mean
Nothing bad about that.
it doesn't mean that it's forever not ready. It just means that right now not ready.
Right now, you might need a little bit more time just to heal.
Yeah, because some of the triggers that have happened to you during your relationship may come up they will come up in your new relationship, and how you deal with them. That's the thing that we want to show and talk about.
To help you through it.
Yeah, we want to help you through those because we don't want you to have the same response to your new spouse as you did to your old spouse.
Yeah, if it's not resolved and you have unresolved feelings that are that deep about marriage and about a spouse, then you don't want to take that into a new marriage.
Yeah.
So
the situation too, because the situations, it's funny how a lot of people have similar situations that arise. And so it's not necessarily that person that did it, but it could be the situation that causes a trigger. And now you have to deal with the trigger that happened in both relationships.
Right. So the other thing that, lets you know if you're ready is that you can honestly say you've broken off all attachments that you have control over: soul ties, attachment, financial attachments, anything that you've had with your ex or that lifestyle.
It's funny because a lot of people say, I want to meet and find a soulmate, right? So was that person your soulmate? And are you trying to find your soulmate? Because you just said soul ties.
Well, I said that in the way that people describe it.
Yeah.
But what I'm really saying is, some people say an anchor, some people say that to describe an emotional connection with that person. So
it's like trauma bonding.
Yeah. Some people can even have that with their therapist. They went through therapy during the divorce, and then afterwards they're still getting counseling, but they have bonded with their therapist
through the negative things that happened in their relationship.
Yeah, through the trauma, and this person is helping them. People can also trauma bond with best friends. You can start having a little bit of an unhealthy attachment to someone else to fill the void that your ex-spouse did. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So you want to take time to get to understand who you are in your new life, because after divorce, now you're a previously married person. So you're single. You're re-single, as we call it.
Yeah.
We like to say it's re-single. So now you have a new life as a re-singled individual. And so you have to find out who you are in that re-singled lifestyle.
Right. So if you can break all the attachments with your spouse without trying to fill that void with something, you didn't get a new pet. You didn't now start super spending time with your children or something. Not that that's bad. We're just saying that
you're trying to fill the void.
You're trying to fill a void, and you haven't been okay with that.
Being alone.
Yes. That part of your life not being filled.
Yeah, well, it's not that it won't be filled. It's just that it has to be filled in a healthy way.
Well, I'm saying the spouse part. Sometimes what happens is that people fill that spouse void with a non-spouse thing. You see what I mean? Addictions can happen from that.
Or you can do what I did, which was I got into a relationship while I was low. And that's something that's a part of filling that void that should not have been filled until I healed from my previous relationship.
Yeah.
So you want to heal, and you want to make sure that you're ready for your next relationship.
Yeah, that's a good thing, that we're saying is, if you as a person know that you have this void of where a spouse or a close relationship was, and you have healed and you're okay with that feeling of loss, you've grieved, and you didn't try to replace it with anything, then I think that lets you know you may be ready for a remarriage.
Well, also, in addition to that, you said grieve. And so you want to grieve, and you want to learn new techniques or new ways or new things that'll help you to become a better you.
Yeah, which is, that's the next thing that we were talking about. So before we go into that about working on yourself, we talked about breaking attachments, breaking trauma bonds, not filling them up with anything else, and just staying where you are. And so then now you can know you're ready is because you've worked on yourself. And some people are like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to work on you?
Well, you definitely have to work on your physical, your mental, and your spiritual self to work on you.
Yeah, just to improve it. If you know that you're like feeling bad, you're feeling down, and you do things to make your emotional state better, that's what we mean by working on you.
Yeah, because if you would like to have, like I'll say me. If I want to have a new relationship with a woman, she's not going to want a depressed man. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
She wants a man who's vibrant, who's a go-getter, who knows what he wants, and who's going to do it.
And sometimes you don't feel like that right after you got a divorce.
No, definitely not. You've been through the war, and you probably want to rest a little bit.
Yeah, so you kind of want to give the person the best you.
Yeah, you definitely want to give them the best you because, in my opinion, you want to receive the best them.
Right.
So it's good to give them the best you, right?
That you can. And to know what to do when you're down is a skill that I think a lot of people need to work on anyway, just in marriages, in relationships. What do you do when you're down?
Well, I personally worked on myself physically by going to the gym and just being in the weight room. That helped me to feel better about myself. So one of the things I did again was just went to the gym and worked on myself physically. I also read my Bible. That helped me spiritually to read myself, build me up, and so I could feel better emotionally.
Yeah.
And be charged up.
One thing I had to do, there was a couple of things I felt like I had to do. One is I wanted to work on bitterness. I didn't want to be bitter. And so I journaled and, eventually wrote a book, but it was about my journey and my feelings. And I think it helped me to process it without getting, going off the deep end or anything. I just was able to get it out. So one of the ways you can work on yourself is journaling and writing down new things that you want in your life and just keeping the focus forward instead of back in your past.
I like what you said. You were journaling to get it out because whatever it is that you want to go forward to may cause or may need for certain things to be out of you.
Yeah.
Before you get to that stage.
Right. Because bitterness can stay in and it also can harden your heart.
Yeah.
And then you're not open to new things. So I think that was like my main goal after I got divorced for the healing and, working on myself is not allowing anything in that I didn't want to have.
Well, when we first met, you told me that you didn't want to be a bitter woman.
Right.
And so, because bitterness can come on your face.
It can come everywhere.
It can be in your arteries.
Yes.
It can get on your physical body. I mean, you definitely don't want to be a bitter woman or a bitter man.
The other thing that I worked on, which I'm still working on, is improving my communication skills.
Yeah, we all need that.
Yeah. So that might be a good thing to just, take a course or read a book about that anyway.
I mean, communication is a part of life because words have power and words are everywhere.
Yeah. So it's good in a relationship to have good communication skills.
Well, I like the fact that in this relationship, we don't usually say negative things. Like we don't use cuss words towards each other. No matter how mad or angry we might get, we don't talk to each other like that. We have a standard for this relationship. And so that's one of the things I prefer to have in this relationship. And I know you do as well. So we definitely don't talk to each other low level like that.
Right. So that's one of the things that you can do to help better yourself. When we say better, that's what we mean. Not that you're like a bad person and now you have to get better. It's more like you feeling better about yourself.
And your relationship or your future relationship.
Having a new identity within yourself. And I think that's important too, because when you get a divorce, sometimes your social status may change economically.
Your friends.
Yeah. Your finances can can change.
Well, I tell you, as a man, let's stay there for a second. As a man, your finances usually change after a divorce.
A lot.
A lot. And so there's a lot of men, when we're talking about this bitterness and anger and all this other stuff, it can happen to a lot of men or resentment because of the financial status that change that happens to them. So,
and I think it's good to do like a financial audit anyway after a divorce of yourself. Like, where are you now?
Yeah.
Right now financially, if you went from a 2-source income family to single, if you were not working at all and now you have to work, your expenses change. Usually, like, my whole world was all turned upside down in every aspect. So if you want to know if you're ready for remarriage, it would be good to give yourself just a run through of your finances.
I think you give yourself a run through of everything before you get with somebody else, because like we said before, you want to give them the best of you and receive the best of them. So it's pertinent, in my opinion, to do an audit, like you said, because an audit will help you to look at things that you didn't even think about before.
Yeah, you might have been paying a subscription for your ex. You didn't even know that was coming up monthly.
A subscription for them.
Yeah, you have something on your account. You're like, what is that? $19.99 or something.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that's off.
Yeah, let's get that off.
Yeah. So working on yourself means a lot of different things. And if you've done that, and you feel like you have a new identity, or you're clear with it, you're clear with who you are in the state that you're in now, by yourself, it's not attached to your spouse. It doesn't have anything to do with the decade before. It's you now. Then you may be ready for remarriage.
Yeah, because you want to look at some things of where your future is in this new life. And it's grand. It's fun. It's going to be exciting. It is exciting right now, depending on where you are on your stage, how much of that excitement you can see. But the sky's the limit, actually, when it comes to having a great relationship, a great remarriage.
And that's funny, because we had talked about, like, some of my friends will say, hey, I'm done. I'm done with cooking. I am done with raising kids. I am done with this and that. But yet they want to be married again. They want a husband, and they're like, I'm not going to build up a man. I'm not going to work.
I'm not going to serve him.
He has to come with everything. I don't know what guys say, but maybe they just say, I'm not going to marry a woman anyway. I'm talking about for the people who want to get married.
Yeah.
If you're done, then you probably aren't ready to get remarried.
No, you're not.
Because you're going to have to be not done.
Yeah, you have to be not done in order to be married again.
Yeah, you're not done with shared accounts. You're not done with better or for worse. Because
you want to experience the joy of love. Love has so much to offer, and you recognize that you probably didn't even get as much as you thought you should have had, wanted to have, would like to have had. But now you see that there's so much love out here in the world and you should receive that kind of love from someone who wants to love you, and that you can give that love to someone as well.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to be remarried in a one-way relationship.
Yeah,
that you are like the turtle with the shell, and then the person's just going to love on you and feed you. That
doesn't work.
That's probably what we want to happen.
Yeah.
But that's like what happens when you're in a hospital. You're the one in the bed, and everyone comes to help you. But we're not at that state. If you feel that that's what you would need in a relationship, that you need a nurse and a doctor.
Yeah. That's not going to work.
Then you're probably not ready for a remarriage.
You're not ready.
You have to be able to be all, and you can give. You'll need time where you'll need to receive. You can do all of it. And it's almost in a remarriage, I would say remarriage is quadruple the work.
Yeah, because you have to, it is because you have to get rid of some things, add some things, do, have. There's a lot that goes on.
And not compare.
Oh, I like that.
You can't compare. You have to be new. You have to really focus on that. If that's not your personality, it will be harder for you to be remarried in a happy, healthy relationship. You can get remarried. Everybody can do what they want to do.
Yeah, you can be remarried and you can have a happy, healthy remarriage.
Right. And that's what we want for you.
Exactly.
We want for you to have a great remarriage, like way better than any marriage you could ever imagine. That goes beyond what you thought. Like, I feel like that's what happened to us. We put in so much work in ourselves and in our marriage that our marriage has become something we never even thought marriage could be.
But it also matters when you marry somebody who has the same view as you regarding that.
Yeah. And I guess that goes into our next kind of area of how do you know when you're ready to be remarried is when you take serious consideration
For
on
your new spouse.
Yes, on what you call it. What do you call it?
I call it a suitable helper, a suitable mate. Someone who is made for you, not just a soulmate where you have soul ties, because you want somebody who you have a lot of similarities. You have things that we're going in the same direction. We want to have the same focus, you know, that type of thing. So
yeah, you're thinking more about future things,
legacy, future.
Yeah, you're thinking more about that, and you're thinking about the type of person that would fit that, kind of represent you.
That's the key right there, represent you. Because one of the things I said to you when we first met was, I said, babe, well, I didn't call you babe because I didn't know you, but I said, I feel like you would represent me when we're not with each other.
Yes.
And I would represent you well when we're not with each other.
And I think that's like really a good point. The person that you choose to be with, do you feel like they could fill your spot if you on your job, at home, or whatever? They might not be able to physically do the things, maybe, let's say.
Their character,
yeah,
the work that they would do.
They would try to do it in the excellence that you would do it. They would make sure everything is taken care of. That is something that if you are thinking about that for your spouse and you are wanting to be that.
It's good to be that first before you plan to have it, because you want to be a suitable person for your spouse and you want your spouse to be suitable towards you.
And that's a kind of a different I don't know how to say it. Like it's a little different than waiting for a soulmate to appear,
because you have to just work involved.
Waiting on a feeling, waiting to see if it's almost like you know what you are looking for, and it's not necessarily like, okay, 6 figures, 6 feet, not that type of thing, but somebody who you could see yourself spending every day with.
Or you can't see yourself without them. That's
Either way.
More what people say usually when they're talking about long-term good relationships.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just have a relationship. You really want this relationship to be a just super duper happy, good, fantastic relationship for you. Like it was molded and crafted specifically for you.
Yeah.
And that's what the word suitable means, is that this person, this individual who I'm now connected to, was made for me.
Yeah, there was just so many things that when I asked you about, you told me things like how I would answer the question. And that was kind of like amazing to me.
Well, it's definitely an indicator of you're on the right path of that individual, if you're considering them for a spouse.
Yeah, we weren't the same type of people, but we were like the same.
But to have similar interests and similar views, that does help, because it causes you to minimize the amount of fighting you might do, or
I don't know if it minimizes the fighting.
Well, I mean, okay, you can fight about anything.
Yeah, because it's almost like you can fight about the same thing. Like we both want something the same, but maybe we fight about what color it'll be, or how much we want to pay for it, or when we want it. It's like
there's always a
reason to argue.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, like, in going with that, was suitable how we argue. You know, you don't want to
Yes.
play dirty. You don't want a person who's going to play dirty when they get upset,
Or tit for tat.
tit for tat, and then they're going to use you as, you know, you're my enemy now in this situation
Right.
versus I'm upset with you and I love you and I'm not going to do you wrong, but I disagree with you.
Yeah.
You know?
And that, I think how people get angry is something that should go into the suitable checklist.
Well, that's definitely something you should talk about when you're dating. You know,
What do you do when you're angry?
yeah.
What do you do when you're low?
When you need to be filled and you're low, because at your lowest point, people do say certain things that they
Right.
normally wouldn't do, feel, and say.
And and I wasn't in your life when you were low before, and I want to be in your life, and we're going to have low and high points.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're low?
And
And what do you do when you're high? Like when's the last time you were low, and what did you do?
Yes, I would ask that question.
That's a good one.
Write that one down and definitely ask that person, what would you do and what do you do when you're low?
And if the person is like, okay, they can handle that, you may be ready for remarriage.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you're on the track for. That's just one
Yeah.
question. There's so many to ask.
And you have to be honest with yourself. You really have to be honest with yourself. And I think this is where I think remarriage opens a vulnerability up that the first marriage didn't even touch on, because in your first marriage, it wasn't a covenant wasn't broken. I think once you've gone through the experience of breaking a covenant, breaking vows, breaking that, and feeling the way that you feel through that whole journey, and then come to the point where you're married again, it's different and it's harder. So I think not harder in meaning that you can't get through it.
Well, it's more challenges that you have to navigate through.
Right,
That's
right.
what you mean.
And you have to know who you are. You're even more vulnerable to yourself. You need to know who you are in the hard times because you've been through a low.
Yes. Yeah. Going through a divorce is a low. It's probably the lowest low that you can go through on the planet with another person and still have them here.
Yeah, in a
You know?
relationship senses. Yeah.
My thing is that you definitely want to work on yourself in those three ways. The three ways I was saying was physical, mental, and spiritual. Definitely those three ways. That's a start.
And I was saying financial too.
Yes, 4. You're right. Financial is definitely another one because you want to do that audit and make sure that you know who you are in your new life, what you're paying for. You know, maybe you have to discard some things because they don't matter anymore in your life, or something else now has increased as your expense. You may have children and those
Child
expenses.
support.
Yeah, child support is definitely one for a lot of men. There's a lot of men who pay child support, and that is a change in their finances.
Yes.
I also paid child support. And I am happy that I was able to do it all the way to the end. The end. No, I'm saying the end. That's
The
it.
end.
That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so did your finances change again?
They've changed again. Yeah, definitely. After paying child support, they changed again.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a long journey. It was a journey. But
You made it through.
I made it through, you know, and I can
He's
definitely
living
say,
proof that you can go through the child support system and
Not
make
the-
it. Well, it
not
wasn't
the
a
corporal-
system, but
it is a system. You know, a lot of
well,
people,
the child support.
well, I mean, I'm glad that I was able, I said
Yeah.
because you were there with me,
Yes.
actually. So we
did it.
paid child support.
We did.
Together, you know, because it affects your family in your new household when you're paying child support to another household.
Yeah, and those are the type of things that you need to
Discuss.
be ready for. If that's like we talked about, you're done, you're not going to want to do that. You probably shouldn't be remarried because these are the type of things that happen in a remarriage. And so if
you have to consider, I didn't mean to cut you
Mm-hmm.
off there, but I wanted to say, as a woman who was saying, I'm done with this, I'm done with that, I'm done with this. A man could say, I don't want to I don't want to have babies anymore. I don't want to do this or do that with a woman anymore because I don't want to have this financial burden on me. I can hardly take it and I can't do things I want to do with my money.
Yeah.
So,
and if you are like that, you need to find somebody who is like that too.
yeah.
We're just saying that your relationship may be harder when there's a lot of what I'm not going to do and what I'm done with, but you want to make your new marriage new. You know, you want a new thing. And so if you have all these kind of guards
Caveats, yeah.
and this, and then I won't do that. And never again with this, and all these intervals that you may have made. It doesn't allow that marriage to kind of grow together. It's so many blocks. Like, I can't get to you. So this next topic is really serious because it will definitely let you know if you're ready for remarriage.
And it has to do with the crossroad decision.
Yeah.
Have you come to a crossroads?
If you don't know what we're talking about,
then
you might not be ready for remarriage. We're not saying that you can't get remarried. We're just saying that you may need to go through some of these
stages
and prepare yourself. So the crossroad decision is when you're basically, there's only two paths to go.
And so, to give you an example of a crossroad decision, one of them could be, okay, I'm divorced now, and I know that I have a new mate.
Or you want a new mate.
Or you want a new mate, but you know who well, I was going to say this example is, I know who this person is, right? So I want to be in a relationship with this person. I have children, and this person is the love of my life now. You're the love of my life. And I have children who are the love of my life. They were here before you were.
Yeah.
So the crossroad is, do I put you in front of the children, or do I put the children in front of you? Now, for some people, they say, you know what? My children come first.
Yeah.
I always have my children first. They were there with me before you. I don't know if you're going to be here all the time. So, you can come and go as you please.
Right.
But my children are going to be with me forever. First of all, children are not going to be with you forever. But the crossroad decision should be, in my opinion, that you put your spouse first.
The fact that you're at that crossroads is what lets you know that you are preparing for remarriage, because a crossroad came up.
And your decision will let you know whether you're ready to go into remarriage or not.
Yeah, like I felt like I had several crossroad decisions. One was, initially, I felt a guilt being your girlfriend at the time, and then wanting to be your spouse. Because
why is that?
Because I felt like you had a family, and I knew that you were divorced, but I didn't know, like, should I enter into that and all of the things that go with it? So I felt like I was at a crossroads.
So your crossroads is coming from the standpoint of a woman who has not had any children.
Right.
She was divorced. The man was divorced. The man has children. And so now you feel like he had a family previously, and you're coming in and possibly stirring up something.
Yeah. How would I be a wife to a pre-made family? But I had to envision the future.
Yeah.
And that's what got me through that crossroad decision.
Well, first of all, a divorce happened. So that's the first part of that crossroad.
I had to make sure that the divorce was final.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, you met me after my divorce. So
yeah, I know.
There's no question about that. We're not going to say
but
that.
we're saying, no, I'm saying that, like, people might feel that way because how divorced co-parenting relationships sometimes are with people. It can make the outside person wonder, like, did they get a divorce? And so whatever that relationship is, you feel like you're at a crossroads, because usually you don't even consider, I'm going to marry somebody with a family and an ex, all of that. And how is your role going to be in all of that?
Yeah. It's like, are you the new mommy or all this stuff that comes with
Yeah. What am I going to be? I had to think about my identity. That's what we were talking about before. And these are the things that you want to think about when you're going to be remarried. Yeah. Or if you're a person who has never been married, but you're about to marry someone that's been married before. And I think this is good for a person like that. If you're like that, because you don't even know really what marriage has brought, because you've never been married before. And now you're going to marry someone with the experience of marriage and divorce.
Well, the person who has never been married will not understand the extensive situations that divorce can bring
and put you in. And so that's another topic, but we just wanted to, touch on that. I think another crossroad decision for me was if I was going to share bank accounts.
Yeah, that's a big crossroad for a lot of people because especially if you went through financial hurts in your previous relationship, a lot of people want to feel like, you know what, my money is mine, yours is yours. A lot of men have been burned in their previous relationship. So when it comes to sharing accounts and things of that nature, they may feel like I'll pay the bills, but I'm going to do it from my own account.
Yeah. We know a lot of, I would say, remarried people with separate accounts.
Yeah, we do. We know a lot of people who have both, but we have made our decisions.
Yeah.
And so we feel that the decisions that are best for us will keep us on the track in the road for being one.
Yeah. And so a crossroad decision is just something that takes you to the limit of yourself.
Yeah.
Where
that's a good way to put it.
You could have thought this way your whole entire life, and then a crossroad decision comes up. Here's another one. This is a general one. I don't think we had this one, but let's say you've lived in a place all your life. You were born and raised there. You have friends and family there. That's where you got married first and had your kids. All your relatives are there. And here comes along some person and they want to move from there.
That's true. That's the crossroad.
Or they don't live there.
Yeah. It's like, do you pack up and move to wherever it is that you guys decide to go to?
Yeah.
Every relationship has to make their own personal decisions. But the funny thing about it is you have to recognize that the decision is between the two parties. It's not between you, mama and them, and then everybody else.
Well, first, I think a crossroad decision is between you and yourself.
You're right. You make your first decision is, do I want to do this, that, or the other?
Yeah, because it challenged yourself.
Well, we made a move. We recently made a move, and I had to come within my own self. At first, I'll start with this. At first, I told my wife, I will not move to this state for no reason at all, for any reason.
And we were already remarried.
Yeah, we're already remarried.
This
was more recent.
It's just an example of a crossroad decision.
Example of a crossroad decision. I said, I will never move there.
You said never?
I think I did say never.
Wow.
Because I felt that strongly about it.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, I had to, it's funny how life does what life does and things change.
Well, you're a reasonable man.
Well, I appreciate that. So one of the things I tried to reason in this situation was how things did change for not only us as a couple, but also for our children and our family members and things of that nature and things that happened. So because of changes, one of them being a death in the family, I had to come up with in myself, do I want to still stay here or should we make a move?
Well, that's what I love about you. I mean, that's one of the things going back to what we were talking about, compatibility, suitability, all of that. I know that I probably would not do well with a man who maybe is more
rigid and stern.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because I like new things. I like innovation. I changed my mind. I knew that I probably would be better with a man who is not so hard or stubborn and is more like, let me think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we all say things in emotions and stuff like that, but you're reasonable.
You have to think about the situation. And even when the situation changes, it's I always think about a flight from Atlanta. Let's say we're flying from Atlanta to Detroit or something like that. I just took 2 states. The wind will change the flight pattern. And so you're always having to make those little changes to the aircraft. So no matter if you made a decision to do something, you still have to change even in that decision.
In that, yeah. In remarriage and preparing for remarriage is being more reasonable than rigid.
Yes.
So if you feel, I guess we could wrap that up with that. If you feel in your heart that you're more rigid now, after a divorce, after dating, being re-singled, and that whole experience in your life has now made you rigid,
then it may be time to rethink getting married at this time. Not saying that you can't do it ever, but you need to work on a few more items within yourself.
just to help yourself have an easier because if you don't, the remarriage can just be horrible. It it can be a trigger factory, like just triggers and bombs going off everywhere.
Because landmine is what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's just walking on a landmine instead of a growing, building, rebuilding, reharvesting. I don't know what the correct word.
Just like a golf course versus a landmine. You know, you want to walk on some really nice, smooth, grass versus I got to watch every step because there's triggers and bombs everywhere. Like you said.
It's not fun. And it can really hurt you emotionally to marry again and not be ready. It can be something that you both need to work on. And I do want to say this for people who are thinking about getting remarried. There is not a specific time that it takes to heal.
Yeah.
You will know. And I think that your spouse, when you get remarried, your spouse has to understand where you're at on your healing journey.
I think more than that, the spouse will be an understanding person for you. Like I go again and say, you will marry someone who is suitable.
Yes.
We're looking at suitable people now, not just a soulmate or having a soul tie with someone.
Yeah, whatever that means. We're not really sure what that means, but whatever it means to people that they feel like, oh, this person is like my savior, and now he or she takes care of everything that I was missing in my first marriage. This person has and does. We're not talking about that. We're talking about someone who you have fallen in love with and that you feel like is a good person. And you may not be completely healed to yourself. And that person wants to be with you, but they also know where you are.
And they're walking with you on your journey.
They'll walk with you and understand it.
Journey. Yeah.
Because I feel like with me and you, I definitely wasn't completely healed, but I was on that path and I still wanted to continue.
And I walked with you on that path. Yeah,
you knew and you helped. You did help. You didn't save me.
No.
But you helped me, definitely. And I feel like in that process, I was helping you as well.
You definitely helped.
We were like, okay, this is an area that you're working on. This is the area I'm working on. This is what we've done for this. We could like share notes and help each other. We had prayers for each other. I felt like you were kind of, I don't know, like a healing coach.
But we wanted to do it with each other because we knew we wanted to be with each other. And this journey is going to call for healing of each other. Yeah. So if you choose to get with someone and they were remarried, and they were divorced as well, just know that your journey is going to call for you both being healed during the course of this journey.
Yes. Healing is going to be taking place. And you may want to ask yourself, how are you as a healer? And I'm not saying that in the sense of like a miracle worker healer. I'm saying that in the sense of, can people heal around you? Can you bring in a presence of healing? Can you initiate healing? Understand what it takes to heal?
So basically, how do people feel after encountering you?
When they need healing.
Yeah, when they need healing. Do they feel better or do they feel worse?
Yeah, like, are you the Band-Aid? Are you the what's that little comforting thing that you put on a boo-boo? Are you that? Yeah. What are you?
Are you the bandage or are you the person who's ripping the bandage off while it's still
whatever? And it's important to know that. So this episode was about how do you know if you're ready for remarriage? These are some of our thoughts. If you have other indicators to let you know that you're ready for remarriage, please leave that in the comments.
Yeah. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.